Welcome to Fluxedo Junction. I'm Scott Kuchler. Each episode we bring you the best music of all genres from throughout the world, and this week we'll be speaking with singer, songwriter, and guitarist Dan Freedman. Dan has been a fixture on the Long Island music scene for years, making live appearances with his bands Mindburn and the Dan Freedman Project. So let's get things started with a track from his album Rare Form. This is Dan Freedman with a track called Midnight, Roller Coaster of Love, here on Fluxedo Junction. All right, let's jump right into it. In addition to your work with Mindburn, you are maintaining a really, really busy solo schedule as well. In fact, you're perhaps the hardest working musician I know. I don't know anybody else who does as many gigs as you do, and you go long distances to do these gigs. And I have to say, I really admire it because it's sort of what I've always wanted to do and just have never had the energy to do, you know? But can you tell me a little bit about the pros and cons of doing things the way that you do on the road?
Well, the solo gigs, it's like a work in progress. It's like I've been doing the solo gigs for years now, but it's at a certain level now, like my timing and the ability to put the songs in the right place at the right time, and also go off on a tangent, just like a jam, and I just picked up an egg, those eggs.
The shaker egg, yeah.
I picked up an egg and I shake it into the microphone, and so that was the latest addition to my solo thing. Also, the money comes in handy. You don't have to divide it up like a band,
right?
That's part of it. Of course, the money's nice to have. It's also, a real tough thing. It's not easy to do the solo gig. You're everything. So it's a different animal than playing in the band. But it definitely makes you a better musician and a better performer and a better entertainer.
What kind of sacrifices do you have to make on the creative end to be able to adapt some of your material for a solo gig versus, doing a full out Mindburn thing?
I throw in originals here and there, so that's good. People don't know, they're having their dinner or whatever, and they're talking to their friends, having drinks, and so, I do throw in, like I said, jams where I'll just lay down a chord progression and solo over it, and, do a little percussion, rake the strings with my pick while muting the strings to act as a percussive instrument. It definitely makes you a better musician doing the solo gigs, I'll tell you that.
Now, what's the farthest you've gone to do a gig? Because I know at least a couple of occasions where you went pretty far upstate to do just like a weekend gig, I think, right?
Yeah, I've done gigs upstate. I've done some in Massachusetts, in Rhode Island, Philly, and like you said, they were just like maybe 1 or 2 nights, so just like a week kind of thing. But yeah, I travel like all around Long Island. Yeah, I go out east, and I was going to Staten Island for a while at this place. Which was a cool place. They had really cool memorabilia of classic rock on the walls. And I stopped going just because there was a pain. I had to pay
the bridge toll.
Yeah. And, spend an hour and a half getting there.
But still, I mean, the way that you're doing it, I used to be able to, years ago, they would invite me to speak on these panel discussions geared towards helping independent musicians out. And I would always tell them that, really kind of exactly what you're doing is what I would recommend. I would be like, look, man, just go out there and do any kind of gig that you need to do to get some money coming in, and then use that money and do covers because that's what people want. That's what people will pay for. But then use that money to pay for the recordings of your original stuff that you want to get out there. Put together your press kits, hire a radio promoter or a publicist. That's how the engine feeds itself, and you got to look at it like it's a small business, right? You can't just, everybody thinks that we go into music because we don't want to get jobs. It's the hardest freaking job you will ever have in your life, what you're doing.
It's like the restaurant business is tough. Music is even tougher.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about your music because, as you pointed out to me in a conversation online a bit earlier, you and I first did an interview together, and dude, that must have been at least 15 years ago, if not more. And you've been so busy, and your material has evolved since then. What is it that inspires you? What is your creative process like?
I'll just jam on a chord progression or a groove, and then add the lyrics to it. After that, that's usually my songwriting process. And like whatever comes out of my mouth, I'll jot down. I lay down the chords, and I kind of work on vocal lyrics afterwards. I just lay down the chord progression and just sing any words just to get a melody at least, and then work on the words after that.
How often do you write? Do you write every day?
No, I wouldn't say every day. I write. It varies, it really does vary. Sometimes I'll get like 4 or 5 tunes, boom, they'll come out. And other times I won't write at all.
Now, out of everything you've ever written and released, what song would you point to as being the one that represents you the best?
That's a tough question. On the Rare Form CD, you mean, or just in general?
In general.
I really enjoy singing "Time" by Pink Floyd.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not with the female singers or anything like that, but it's my own version, and I enjoy doing Pink Floyd.
What was it that got you inspired to do this in the first place? Can you point to one single artist or band that lit the fuse and you were like, that's what I want to do. I got to get a guitar. I got to do this for the rest of my life now.
Yeah, it was more like, I don't know, I was listening to the radio, and I heard Ozzy and a couple other classic rock guys. Who else? AC/DC, and I was like really impressed and overwhelmed almost at rock and roll. It was like really mystical, kind of like Led Zeppelin, a mystical kind of vibe going on with rock and roll. So I remember I was listening to Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti in my room, and I never smoked pot or drank or anything like that. But like listening to Physical, I was like stoned.
Yeah, the music got you high, right?
Yeah, it did. The mystical thing that Led Zeppelin had going on.
Kind of all those artists you just mentioned share that. I mean, maybe with the exception of AC/DC, but there's a mystical thread that goes through all of that. Ozzy, Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, they all have that.
True.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Hey, what are you inspired by that's not musical? Can you, is there any books or films or artwork or anything that inspires you to create music that's not a musical influence?
Well, I love movies. I love watching movies. Goodfellas is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
Yeah. There are a lot of others. I in my room, I have some photos that I had enlarged, and then I have some framed artwork. So I do like art. Movies, I don't know where it comes from. It comes from somewhere special as far as creating music.
Yeah.
I don't. A book or a movie has influenced me. I've enjoyed the movie the music in the movie.
Sure, yeah.
But
any young musicians out there listening to this right now, and you're looking for some sort of a role model or a roadmap for how to get it going and how to just fire up a music career, they should be checking you out and watching what you do. Where's the best place that people can go online to see what you're up to?
DanFreedmanmusic.com. DanFreedmanmusic.com.
Nice. What have you got coming up? Any new recordings in the works?
Nothing yet. I am in the process of setting up the studio in my bedroom. It's all ready to go. So recording wise, definitely want to get going on that, and then. So just gigs are coming through. I got 4 different projects I'm in right now. I do the Dan Freedman project, which is my own band. Just recently got new members, and I've had that since 2001 in different shapes and forms. Personnel wise, it's changed over the years, and so the sound changes. And then I have Mindburn, like you mentioned, Scott. That's my band that plays Bartini a lot.
Yeah.
And then I have just recently got together with a trombone player and got a jazz duo going. So me on guitar and Frank Padula, a guy, he lives in Sunnyside, Queens.
Uh-huh.
He's a great trombonist. And so he comes over to my house on Tuesday nights. Tonight we're not doing it, but comes over after big band practice in Farmingdale as well. I live in Farmingdale, so he comes over to my house and we rehearse in my bedroom.
Wow, man, that's great. Well, listen, I really am inspired by you and your work ethic, and I love your music, and you and I go back quite a ways. It's long overdue to have you on the program. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, and I look forward to doing this again, man. Keep on rocking, keep it going, and like I said, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah, thanks. My pleasure, Scott. Thanks a lot.